father, Francie O'Donnell, had courted your mother, Julia, in the romantic atmosphere of the Shetland Islands. They were gutting fish at the time. Your father spent 6 months of every year labouring on farms in Scotland. And Julia, Daniel always wanted to go everywhere with you.
I always took Daniel everywhere I was going. He was always my baby, and he's my baby all the time. Always when I didn't want him to come with me, I said to him, Daniel, I'm going to confession, you can't go. And he was only about 2.5, and so one day he was going over to our neighbour across the road, and we had a little dog, and the dog followed him over, and he turned round, he says to his daddy, Daddy, call Rover back, tell him he can't come, I'm going to confession.
Was that your first memory, or is that forgotten?
Well, I don't know if I said that, but I must have. And I won't disagree with her now, because as well as I'm her baby, she'd still give me a clout.
Now, when you were growing up in Kincastle, life was never easy for the family, and when you're just 6, there's tragedy. Your father dies of a heart attack at the age of 49. Your mother ekes out her widow's pension by knitting sweaters for export to America. You'd started life in an old cottage with no running water, but when you're 7, you moved to a council house across the road. And here's you with your next-door neighbour's donkey, Johnny. Well, we sent a camera crew over to Ireland to check out some of your old friends back home. First of all, Brian McGonigal.
Hello, Daniel. Greetings from Kincastle. It's home and your little piece of heaven here on the west coast of Ireland. Out here is Oy Island, and all around are the beautiful beaches where you spent your school holidays running wild. I am sure you recognise Belcritch National School, Daniel. You started here at the age of 5, and your teacher, Mary Logue, wants a word.
You were one of the nicest and best behaved of my pupils. It was a wonderful day for us some years ago when you came back here to perform the opening ceremony of the extra classroom. You presented us with a gold disc with the words inscribed on it, follow your dreams. That was a wonderful example for the children here. Thank you, Daniel.
This is St Mary's Brocal Hall, where we had some wonderful concerts when you were growing up. Remembering those days as your neighbour, Annie McGarvey.
It was in that hall you gave your first public singing performance as a wee lad. You were very talented. We never realised you would make such a great career. Congratulations, darling. Love, Annie.
This is the Cope, but at the age of 9, you got your first paid job. Charlie McBride remembers you working here.
You started here as a boy, sweeping up the floor in this shop. As you grew older, you went out on the delivery van, and before you became famous, all the local people around here call you the wee lad in the Cope van. Congratulations and good luck.
Now you will recognise this building, Daniel. It's your Viking House Hotel. Waiting inside is Sarah Mulholland.
6 years ago, Daniel, I entered the Mary from Dunno Festival, which attracts entrants from all over the world. I was lucky enough to win it, and you had the job of crowning me. It was a very emotional moment, and we both spilled tears. Thanks for all the special memories.
Everyone in Kincastle sends you their love, Daniel. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. Bye!
Bye!
And here to represent all your friends in person, Sarah Mulholland. So you started your first job in 1971 working in the village store, selling everything from cornflakes to corn plasters. You were also in St Mary's Chapel Choir, and you started to sing in public with your sister Margot. She was a singer in a band when she was only 12. And Margot, sometimes you would get home from jobs when Daniel was just getting up for school.
Yes, when he used to see me coming in on a Monday morning, when he would be getting ready for school, I remember one morning in particular, he was looking at me kind of oddly, you know, and he said, you know, Margaret, I'll never sing. And I just looked at him, and look at the result.
In 1975, you move on to your secondary school, the Tech at Lochanure near Dunlow, and you soon make your mark. But James, Daniel wasn't much use with his hands.
No, from early on it was fairly apparent that he wasn't going to crack it as a tradesman, because he had to create a piece of woodwork for an examination one day, and when he brought it up to show to his examiner, he thought he'd done a fairly good job, and the examiner looked at it, and Daniel was waiting for him to say something, and eventually Daniel says to him, "What'll I do with it now?" Your man says, "Just fling it in the fire there." He says, "It'll keep the place warm."
In 1978, during the summer holiday, the future star finds himself a job working in the local graveyard. Next year, you spend the holidays digging drains. And then in 1980, things look up. You get a job at Dublin's Central Hotel washing dishes. Your brother worked there as a chef. James, was he a good worker?
Well, I think the jury's still out on that, but he was a very noisy worker, because we'd never let him out to the public, but they could hear him from inside, because he'd be washing away the dishes and he'd be singing at the top of his voice. And a lady came in one day, she was with some musical group or other, and she came in and she gave him £2 in the kitchen, because she couldn't believe that anyone could be so happy washing dishes all the time.
Now, someone who became a good friend remembers you there.
And one day, you went as quiet as a mouse.
She was the dining room supervisor, Margaret Barrett. So, Margaret, did Daniel lose his voice?
Daniel went speechless, really. We were very busy in the dining room, if you remember.
Yeah.
And a diner complained of seeing a mouse in the dining room. And do you remember?
I do.
And he was sent out with a dustpan and a broom to catch the mouse.
And I hated mice.
And he was terrified of mice, but we didn't realise he was terrified of the mice.
It was
Cabaret,
like
really.
the place on television,
You
40
know,
Towers.
It was something else.
Thank
But
you,
I'm
Mum.
very proud to be your friend, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you for being here, Mum. Thank you.
In the autumn of 1980, you begin a business studies course at Galway City College. Your aim is to become a teacher. But before your first term is over, you decide you don't like it. Margot, that year, Daniel sent you an urgent message with his Christmas card.
He did. Just before Christmas, I was appearing in Galway, and I called round to see him, and he said to me then, "I don't think I'll be coming back here after Christmas, Margaret. I think I'd rather sing." So I kind of muffled it down, and I said to him, "Well, go home and we'll talk about it in the new year," hoping that he'd forget about it. But then I got a Christmas card, and he had written on the Christmas card, "Remember what I told you in Galway." He says, "I want to sing." And he had underlined the word "now," so I didn't have an option.
Working with Margot and her band for 2 years gives you a useful apprenticeship. Your sister let you share the microphone with her. And then came a big day. You were invited to Belfast to appear on television. The programme was Good Evening Ulster.
And Daniel, you were so nervous you could hardly get a word out.
It's Gloria Hunniford.
Well, it was so funny, actually, because I remember very distinctly when you came to the studio. It was the first time you'd been in a television studio. Yeah. And there was this good-looking boy from Donegal. And if you couldn't get the words out to speak, you certainly wooed everybody with your singing. And, of course, you were a big hit from the beginning. But there's an even more significant moment for me when you were a bit dumbfounded as well. Because like Liz and a few people, I've been your belle of the ball too.
Right.
I think you like the older woman, Daniel, do you?
Well,
I think you might.
it's the experience I'm after.
But in this case, we were flown to the airport at Belfast, and then your sister Kathleen took us to this bungalow somewhere, I have no idea where, in the middle of Donegal somewhere. And this was about 8 o'clock at night, and we were kept there. And every hour I kept saying, "Will I get dressed?" And she'd say, "No, no, 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 you've got plenty of time." And there was enough food in the house to feed 10,000 people. So eventually, at 1 o'clock in the morning, I was told that I could get dressed. And it was like an SAS operation, you know. We were bundled into the car, because it's a big secret for you,
That's
isn't
right,
it?
yeah.
Taken to the hall. and of course it was raining. There were umbrellas, there were rugs, there were coats, but anyway, I got on stage and Daniel's face, like tonight, was fantastic. And I just want to say that when you come on Open House in the afternoon, I love it, because our ratings double.
That's what we're hoping. By April 1983, you feel you're ready to cut your first disc. It's called My Donegal Shore, and the recording cost you £600 to make. Your old friend Josephine Burke drove you home from the studios in County Monaghan. Well, you fill a holdall with those discs of My Donegal Shore, and you cart them around to every gig you do. It takes weeks, but eventually you sell them all and you recoup your money. And then in July 1983, you get your first band together. You call yourselves Country Fever.
And Daniel, life was a great gas, wasn't it?
He was a pal from school days and a member of Country Fever, PJ Sweeney.
You said you were going home.
So, PJ, tell us about life on the road.
Well, like all bands, we had our share of bizarre moments. As you can remember, the van that you had at that stage was both petrol and gas converted. And budget was a wee bit tighter at that stage now. So we're heading up the motorway one very frosty night.
We didn't have a budget.
This very frosty night, we're heading up the motorway out of London, and we needed fuel. We pulled in for petrol. But Daniel decided that there was a station about 40 miles back the road.
T-Bay, I remember it well.
which had the gas. So he made us go back the 40 miles back for the gas. We went back that far to discover that their gas tank was frozen and there was no gas to be had. But for all that, it was an enjoyable experience, and I was delighted to have the honour of doing it.
And to have survived. Thank you very much. With your first manager, Nan Moy, you launch another group, the Grassroots, in June 1984. But it's hard going, and at one motel, it was a bit of a squeeze.
The family room was £24, and I says, does it matter if we have no mother? But another time, Nan and we were in Newcastle, and we had a big crowd, and the people booked us into a deer hotel. I mean, it probably wouldn't be deer now, but we thought it was deer. And I went into Nan's room in the morning, and she had the television and the radio on. And I says, what are you doing with the two of them on? You can't hear either, but she says, I'm getting the value out of the room.
Well, then, an appearance at the Irish Festival in London in 1985 gets you noticed by the right people.
Nobody had heard of you, but I knew right away you wouldn't be unknown for long.
The boss of the Ritz music group, Mick Clerkin, and with him your manager, Sean Riley. So, Mick, he was a desperate Dan that night.
He said to me before he went on stage, if you don't like what you see and hear, I'm going to throw in the towel and go back to college in Galway. And I said, well, let's see how it goes. I had a look, had a listen, and I thought, something special here. Very nice young man, great entertainer, great charisma. Still has, after 15 years, still a lovely man to work with.
And Sean, you second that emotion.
In fact, I think my biggest problem tonight is to find words to describe this man, because really he's in a class of his own, both as an entertainer and a person. And I've been privileged to work with him now for over 15 years. And it's just fantastic. Wherever we go in the world, whatever the hassles may be, it's a pleasure and a joy to be in this man's company. He's an excellent person.
Gentlemen, thank you. It was in March 1986 that you make your debut with your new band. Your success since then has been meteoric. The Boy from Donegal has been acclaimed at Nashville's Shrine to Country Music, the Grand Ole Opry. You've sold more than 3 million records and 1 million videos in the process. Father Brian Darcy, you've known Daniel since the early days.
Yeah, right from the beginning. Indeed, before he was in show business, I knew Daniel. The public persona is one thing, but what he does in private is another thing, and that's the measure of the man. He's so good to the sick, so good to the handicapped, knows all of their names, visits them privately when nobody notices. He is truly a man in a million, and I'm very proud to know him.
Whenever a Daniel O'Donnell concert is advertised, women queue all night and the tickets are snapped up 6 months in advance. You've earned a reputation for making yourself available for your supporters, and thousands of fans make a pilgrimage to your house in Kincasler most summers to join you for a chat, a cuppa and a photo opportunity. One of your most eloquent admirers has described you as the one-man singing river dance, and that's the fragrant Mrs. Merton herself, Caroline Ahern.
Hi, Daniel. I hope you're having a really lovely night. And it was a pleasure to sing with you on the Mrs. Merton show. And the thing that surprised me most about that was I had actually never met you before. And you've got one of the best senses of humour of any guest that we ever had on. And you're also a really lovely man. And I hope that you have a great time. And my mum is still so mad that me and you haven't started a big romance. She's desperate to get her son-in-law. But she sent you her love too. So have a lovely night, Daniel, and God bless you.
Mary Duff, you've sung with Daniel all over the world, and have things always gone like clockwork?
Yeah, I've worked with Daniel since 1987. And in all that time, we've never had a wrong word. We've always got on well. And I just want to say thanks, Daniel, for allowing me the privilege of working with you. It's been absolutely marvellous, and continued success to you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks
and thanks for being here.
Well, of course, one of the perks of show business is that you get to meet the people that you've always admired. One of your own favourites has become a good friend, Sir Cliff Richard.
Hi, Daniel. I hope you're having a fabulous evening with your family and friends. And of course, everybody knows you've got thousands of fans of all ages, and I am definitely numbered among them. Your quality is that you have great sincerity. Whether you're doing concerts, whether you're involved with Romanian orphans, your fans recognize that you're a caring, sincere person. I mean, you're friendly, you're accessible, and you're unspoiled by your success. And the whole of Ireland, I'm sure, are really, really proud of you, as I am. I'm really happy to be considered a friend of yours. I wish you great success for the future, and long may your fans and you reign. Have a terrific evening.
Now, Cliff mentioned your work in Romania. A visit there in 1998 opened your eyes to the horrendous plight of young people who've been abandoned in that unhappy country.
I know that we can succeed and make the lives of these 500 children better. It may take time, but I know we can do it.
2 years ago, you released that charity single, Give a Little Love, and so far you and your supporters have raised £750,000 to establish 2 purpose-built houses for more than 40 disabled young people in Romania. You're planning to build more, and someone who knows all the challenges involved is Annika Rice. Annika, getting results in Romania is not easy.
No, I mean, it was amazing seeing that footage just then, because that is the very same orphanage that exactly 10 years, or more or less 10 years to the day, we were first challenged to renovate. But the most important thing, I think, to say to Daniel is that projects like that can't continue unless there's some money coming in. And you have been like a knight in shining armour coming in and really helping out. And so, on behalf of all those children and the Romanian Challenge Appeal, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, the person in charge of the Romanian Challenge Appeal for the last 11 years wants to add her own thanks. Flown in from Romania, Monica McDade. So, Monica, the O'Donnell team are making an important contribution.
Daniel, your warmth stretches across all barriers. And all I can say is you're doing God's work and you help those in need. And I know your record went out 2 years ago, Give a Little Love, but nobody can ever measure the amount of love that you've given those children. You worked tirelessly, selflessly, and I'd like to reiterate Father Darcy's words there, quietly. And on behalf of the children in Surrett, I want to thank you from my heart for everything you've done for them.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's the Daniel O'Donnell story so far, but not quite. When Monica flew here from Romania, she wasn't alone. She brought 8 of the children with her to thank you in person, and they are led by the former mayor of Siret, Tibi Prodan. So, Tibi, what would you like to say?
When Monica first came to Siret in 1990, she brought and she gave hope to these children. The hope for a new life has been like a dream for the last 10 years. But you, Daniel, are the person who has transformed those dreams into reality. God bless you.
Thank you.
And Saba, you have a speech ready?
Thank you very much. Children love you.
Bravo. Daniel O'Donnell, this is your life.
This Is Your Life returns for a new series later in the year. The climax to a musical extravaganza next tonight on BBC One. Elton John heads the star lineup for the BBC Music Live finale.